Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth. It's June 25th, 2023, and my guest today is Leo Bonomo. And Leo is the host of The Voice of Spirit on KCORradio.com.
Bring you this.
We've hijacked your daily dose of regurgitated news to bring you Navigating the Truth. Brace yourself, listeners, as you're about to enter a world where the narrative is no longer masqueraded as the truth. A world where the conspiracies of yesterday's translate into the truths of today.
Are you listening?
The veils covering the truth are lifting, and understandings once suppressed are finally being revealed. Will you be ready? And now, your host and navigator through these circles of lies, the host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth, and it is June 25th. It has been quite a pleasant day, very warm. Like, we seem to be getting warm, and when I look at the temperature is not making sense because it feels a whole lot warmer. But that's besides the point. We have had rain, and we've had it through the night, which has been nice. It's actually like I kind of stay awake and listen to it. I enjoy it so much. But I want to thank the listeners who have chosen to listen in today. And there is a donate button on KCOR Radio's webpage. If you like what you hear, there are so many great shows here and wonderful hosts with some terrific guests, hit that donate button. And my website is souliam.org. I have a YouTube channel. It's Caroline Bell Tumblety. And I have a Facebook, and it's also Caroline Bell Tumblety. And I'd like to invite the listeners, if you have any questions, type them in chat, or you can call in. And today I have one of KCOR's own. I have the wonderful Leo Bonomo. And I think I got it right because Tina actually told me how to pronounce it. So, I apologize for making a mess of it last week, but it's Bonomo. And Leo is the host of The Voice of Spirit, and that is on a Tuesday, I believe, and it is, let's see, what time is it? It is 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on a Tuesday, every Tuesday, so you can tune in and listen to the show. And I'm going to read, it's an extensive bio. I'm going to read Leo's bio right here. I am a professional inspirational clairvoyant medium and psychic. I have been privileged to give readings in Germany. I have appeared on TV, on the Circle TV on channel 166, the Information Channel. In October of 2010, I did a small tour of New Zealand doing private readings and a theatre booking. I also spent a week supporting an international healer and his workshop. I am proud not only to be an accredited member of the ISSMPI, I have the CFTPS, which is the highest standard they have, but also the UK manager of the organisation ISSMPI, the International Society of Standards in Mediumship and Psychic Investigation. Among my gifts are clairvoyance, seeing, clairaudience, hearing, and clairsentience, feeling. Let me see if I can get this one. Clairgustance, sense of taste, clairessence, or clairaudience, being aware of smells. Addresses and readings in varying degrees of trance when the occasions are due. I have written poetry books and spiritual messages by automatic writing. Some of my poems have been published in two compilations books. They are The Spirit Writes and Joy of Peace, published by Tudor Press. I have been fortunate enough also to have channeled a book directly from Spirit called Summerland, and I'm really excited. I managed to locate a copy. It just didn't come in time, but it will be here on Wednesday, and I can't wait to read it, which gives explanations of passing, life on the planes, spirit, possession, caught death, mediumship, and many other related topics. I am a development teacher working to bring out these gifts in others, and I have been blessed with seeing others blossom and able to give evidence for themselves. One whom I taught many years ago developed trance and spoke in perfect German. Exoglossy. When a certain guide came through and only went in trance. I am also a healer. I run workshops on development and have been teaching for over 25 years. I write in Psychic World newspaper, theothersidepress.com, and paranormaldailynews.com. This currently has around 100,000 circulation, as well as others on occasion. I am a compassionate and caring reader, giving accurate readings and making it my priority to deal with all the subjects with the utmost sensitivity. I always want to help others, especially in developing their spiritual paths and to guide and ease pain. And I'd like to give a warm welcome to Leo. Welcome, Leo.
Bless you. Thank you. God, that's a hell of an introduction. Thank you so much.
It's wonderful though. Like, you have all these accomplishments. What a busy life you have led.
Yeah, there's always something to do. Usually multitasking, which, as you know, men don't do that very well. But
I don't know.
Usually yeah. The book, the Leslie Flint book, that's actually being revised.
Okay.
Because there's more information coming through. So if people want to keep an eye on that, then that's great. That other word, which is so difficult to pronounce, is clairolfacrience, which does sound like hairspray, I've got to say.
Clairolfacrience. Okay.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
It's basically smells, but
Smells.
I feel so privileged to be here. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, it is my honor and my privilege to have you here. I was so happy when you accepted my invitation, and I got to speak to you for a little bit yesterday, and I am so excited. I am very excited, and I would like to start with how did you get into mediumship, spirituality?
Well, it started a long time ago. When I was born, the first couple of years, I wasn't a very happy soul. I had a very clear remembrance of not wanting to be here. And I guess that happens sometimes, when you incarnate, because you think it's a great idea in spirit, and then you land here with a bump, and you're not so sure. But my first real spirit contact was when I was 2, and I was between my mum and dad, and we lived in East London, and there's a place called Manor Park, and we were walking past the cemetery gates, and it was about 7:30, just starting to slightly get dark. It was summer, and I felt this energy behind me, so I turned round, and as I looked, a mist came through the pavement and then sat upright vertically, and this man was there, and I wasn't particularly fazed by that, but I was staring. And my mum and dad said, "What's there?" So we all turned round, and none of us could see him. So I've turned back, and I'm sure I could see something. So I've turned back again, and there he was. And that happened several times. And the fact that he appeared like that, no problem at all. What was strange to me was the clothes, and it was Victorian clothes, complete with the top hat.
Wow.
And that kind of re-energized me into kind of opened all the doors, if you like.
Wow, and you're so young too.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
a lot of people are still connected, and there's an average age, sort of up to about 5 or 6. When we're born, we're much more connected to spirit. And then obviously we need to ground. So around that age we ground. So it sounds unusual, but so many children are connected nowadays.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that, because I have known children that remember things, that don't make any sense. Like, where is my brother who used to make the chairs? Like, my daughter had a friend who used to, and she was really young. I mean, they were maybe 4. And she used to ask me that, where's my brother? And she didn't have a brother. It was like, where's my brother who makes the chairs?
Oh. Well, I've got a little story like that. A good friend of mine, years ago. Her son was also 4 at the time. That seems to be a kind of pivotal age when there's a kind of acknowledgement. And he was just sitting there playing with his toys and that. And then he stopped dead and he looked up straight in the eyes and he said, "I was your father before." And then just carried on playing with his toys. You know, and I said to you know, he's so close to spirit. I said, "Get a diary, write it all down," and she did. And there was a lot coming through eventually.
Yeah, my little brother was the same. Like he used to freak my mom out, so he did. Yeah, he would say, "Remember, I was a soldier. Remember, I had a son, and his name was John." You know, and my mom used to just kind of look, you know. Yeah.
If you sort of au fait with it and accept it, it's kind of nice because then you remember it and hopefully you write it down. But if it just kind of comes out of the blue and you don't believe in this, you know, it's a bit of a shock, isn't it?
How was your family? Did your were they accepting?
I don't really know about my mum a lot, and she moved. She didn't pass away, but she moved on when we were 9, so we were left like that. My dad is or was a bit of an awkward character because he was a twin, and he had twin experiences, but he really didn't believe in this stuff, which is a bit, I'm still trying to get my head around that. But so he never accepted it at all. And I learned fairly early on to just keep quiet. But the connection was so strong, you know, there were things happening every single day, every single night. And it was, as it is for many people that connected young, it was just normal day, you know, which again, I think is a beautiful thing.
It is. And a lot of us learn to keep quiet about things, especially if the people around us aren't really open to it, you know. We start like kind of keeping it to ourselves. It's I think society is a lot more open now. Definitely. So many people are connected, so it's almost a completely different scenario now, but that's really nice. It is nice, and that was something that we touched on yesterday. Like we were saying, like the skeptics, like they kind of gone.
Yeah, I think there's so much proof out there, and it's not just the mediums that are giving it, you know, are giving the evidence. It's science as well. The fact that so many people now can talk about this, you know, especially on the internet. We're not sort of secluded. But there's quantum physics as well, you know, which is a wonderful science, and it's connecting a lot of dots. So I think that, to be honest, they've just admitted defeat and they're keeping quiet, which is kind of nice, because I think the destructive thing there is that for people who've had experiences, could be kind of talked out of it and just think, oh, it was a dream. You know, and I think that's the destructive thing. It takes dreams away, it takes imagination away, that encourage the links, you know, because spirit work very much with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Quite a bit of gaslighting has gone on. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, and we also touched on Helen Duncan. Like, they railroaded her, like, totally.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, it's another very strange kind of situation, because the Prime Minister at the time, Winston Churchill, was highly, highly psychic. He's written about those things in his memoirs after quite some time, and he was captured in Burma and was put into a concentration type camp, and he realized that he needed to get back. So what Spirit told him was where to be at the right place and time to kind of escape. And they guided him to a safe house through perilous lands and you know, dangerous situations. Got him there completely okay. And he felt he needed to knock on a particular door, And the guy that opened it said, "Thank God you knocked here. It's the only safe house in 20 miles."
Wow.
And he talks about that. And he'd seen a few mediums, and he had actually sat with Helen Duncan. But as he explains when he came through Leslie Flint, that for a person in that position, it's not very easy to talk about these things. So he had to keep quiet. But within the cabinet, there were about 6 people very connected to spirit. And one of them was Lord Admiral of the Air Service. He actually won the Battle of Britain. The name escapes me again. And he used to help pilots and that had died to kind of get over. And the reason the Helen Duncan thing came up was because the ship that was sunk, it wasn't the Hood, that's a German ship. And the ship that was sunk, sorry, go on.
No, I know what you're talking about. I'm actually reading her book right now. So yeah.
Yeah. And there was a séance, and the young man came through to his mum during the séance and said, the ship had gone down with great loss of life, etc. And fortunately or not, she spoke about it, and this, of course, sent tremors through the government, thinking there is definitely a spy somewhere. And they were quite against Helen Duncan anyway, and they found out that it had been one of her sittings. So what they did, there were a lot of spies involved, and what they did was they broke into the séance. And the 3 cardinal things is you don't make sudden noises, you certainly don't burst in on someone, and you don't touch them. And what they did was broke in, turned all the lights on, which again is a no-no, and one of the guys grabbed Helen Duncan. 4 days later, she passed away. 14 days later, sorry, she passed away.
She never recovered for that. Yeah,
never recovered. No.
And that is it is really horrible what happened to her. And as you say, she was kind of marked. That they were trying to get her.
Yeah, they were, and so quite sad. But she was a remarkable medium in her day. She also used to give a lot of predictions to people, and these were often put in the paper. And she advised one gentleman that he shouldn't drive home that night, and he was killed, and that was reported in the paper. So I'm quite open with predictions and that, because they're a useful thing. It's not sort of to be confused with Gypsy Rose Lee, no offense intended, and the sort of the circus sort of kind of image. But I think predictions are very, very useful.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. I mean, people still read Nostradamus, and is it Baba Yaga? There's a few of them. I mean, every once in a while, I'll see it come up on a newsfeed or something that people are looking at these things again. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's hard when people give out dates, though. I think there was a lot of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, in my own personal experience, and I sort of went through a phase of this where predictions were given, and people wrote to me later on, and there was a whole track to them, happened almost exactly 2 years afterwards. I mean, I still can't figure it out. So a date was given, and it was 2 years later. Bit odd, but again, we do have to take these things with a slight pinch of salt, I think.
Absolutely. And also, it kind of brings to mind these if it's another dimension that there's so many different terms out there for astral plane, ether, time's probably not the same there.
It isn't. In spirit, there isn't time. Certainly not as we would recognize it. So all the times, all the dimensions are in the same space. So if you can imagine quite a tall column, and you go from the start of man to, well into the future, it's all kind of there. So it can be difficult for them to be that accurate.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so, because it seems to only be here in this realm that and it's man-made. Time is man-made. I actually knew the person whose father invented the time clock, like where you punch in and you punch out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, what a horrible thing to do.
I've actually worked in factories when I was out of school that had the time card punching machines.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, thank God.
I invented that. Nope.
I was about to say, thank God they don't exist anymore, but actually, I'm not so sure. I'm sure there are a few around. I'm not so sure
either. Yeah. I'm not so sure. I haven't really seen them, but I'm sure they're there. Like you clock out for your break and you clock in when you come back for your break.
Yeah,
that's the ones I remember.
Yeah, it's kind of antique now, isn't it?
Yeah, but they'll be keeping track.
Absolutely. Funny, isn't it? You don't seem to hear now about the time and motion man. It was quite prevalent when I was working.
Time and motion.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. One of my first jobs after school, I worked in a machining factory. And after 6 months, they will time you and pay you for every piece that you... And the union blew the whistle and everybody went out. They were timing me without me being aware.
Right, yeah.
And we had to come in, and that's what that was called, time and motion. It was, like piecework, they called it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. Yeah, you don't really hear about that. Yeah.
No, thank God.
I know. I was like, did I do something wrong? They were like, no, not you, them.
Yeah.
Oh, can you believe that? We're coming up on our first break. And I'd like to thank the listeners and stay tuned. And we will be right back after this 3-minute break.
You're listening to Navigating the Truth with Caroline Bell Tumblety, where the truth survives and the lies are exposed.
I just want to assure you that everything is under control. There's been no damage except for some temporary malfunction of the radio.
Come be a part of this awakening by joining us in chat or by calling our hotline at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers, find us on Skype at KCOR Radio.
We're pushing the ultimate frontier here.
Control must be maintained.
More disinformation exposed and the truth discovered. After a word from our sponsors.
1 million miles till midnight. A story of timelines, artificial worlds, simulated races, and the galactic imprint. And the destiny of a blue world called Earth. 1 million miles till midnight, written by Solaris Blue Raven, is a journey through the mind's eye which allows the reader to surf a wave of technological and multidimensional intellect, revealing a bridge between conscious design and the truth. A multidimensional bleed-through awakens the world of artificial intelligence to set sail into the frontiers of a vast multiverse, morphing planets and terraforming ascended worlds beyond the linear programs of a fated race. 1 million miles till midnight will awaken, inspire, prepare, and enlighten one to the many multidimensional states of consciousness and worlds we reside in. With every cell and atom, we are this truth and multiverse. 1 million miles till midnight. Written by Solaris Blue Raven. Available now at Amazon.com. Don't wait. Get your copy today.
1, 2, 3, 4!
To the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I love the way it sounds.
Love the music. I listen all day.
The future of radio is here and now.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about, at least not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Change your frequency, change your life with the Lemurian Plug. The Lemurian Plug is easy to control, simple to set up, and wireless. It helps to neutralize toxins and has restorative frequencies for healing. It also helps to protect you and your family from EMFs. The Lemurian Plug is energy efficient and designed using ancient technology for a superior design. One unit can cover up to 1,000 square feet. This life-changing product is reasonably priced. And isn't your family's health worth a small investment? For more information on the miraculous effects of this plug or to purchase the Lemurian Plug, visit thelemurianplug.com. That's thelemurianplug.com. The Lemurian Plug is like nothing you've ever experienced. Order yours today.
Vegas, baby! Vegas' #1 source for talk and new music.
How cool is that?
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth, the one show that peels back the masks of the elite and exposes the truth we're not being told.
Here to warn you. You must not abuse the power you've been given. Eventually, you will lose control of that power and the whole world will suffer.
Come partake in the awakening by calling the show at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Give us a call now.
Those around the world, connect with us on Skype at KCOR Radio. Follow us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Come engage in the discussion live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com.
Our survival depends upon it.
Now, back to examining the narratives and uncovering the truth with your host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety. Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth. My name is Caroline Bell Tumblety and I am your host. And I would like to thank the listeners and anyone who has any questions. I have the wonderful Leo Bonomo with me today. And welcome back, Leo.
Thank you very, very much.
And we were chatting up a storm and when we were on the break there. Yeah. And I guess like the time cards have now become like a computer program that people have on their phones, and it's a thumbprint or a face recognition. So
yeah, technology is a bit scary. You know, I saw something that was exposed in China, and this was not a remote village, but it wasn't a large village. And this guy put up this thing on YouTube, and he said now, because they're big on face recognition, all that kind of stuff. And he said, now you can drive down the road. If you go through a red light, it clocks you, finds you, sends you a message that you've been fined and there's points on your license.
That's quick. Yeah.
That's scarily quick, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got no choice. You know, if you can't afford the fine, I mean, they do say if you can't do the crime, don't do the don't do the crime. But, you know, if you just happen to slip up and then it's out of your bank account, it's very scary.
Before you can blink. You know, like when I was living in Arizona, I mean, this is maybe 10 years ago, they had cameras set up at certain places where you wouldn't know that you had broke the speed limit until maybe a week or so later, and it would be a summons, you know, to appear, and they would have your picture and your plate number on your truck or your vehicle.
Yeah, it is kind of scary. I'm not sure whether I find that a negative or a positive, because I think if you're used to, I know where all the lights are, and I know I can hammer down this particular street. I think those are the people really we want to catch. But here in England, and I'm sure it's the same in Scotland, they've got signs everywhere. You know,
20's plenty. Yes,
20's plenty, and speed cameras are there. I was driving not far from Nottingham the other day, not too far from where I live, and it was quite funny because on this motorway they had these big, tall, bright yellow cameras which everyone can see for miles, and there was a sign in front of it saying these cameras are not working, and I thought. What's the point of that?
These cameras are not working. Was that a trick?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it could be a double bluff, couldn't it? But I thought, why they've paid someone to drop that sign.
Right. Well, we also have this kind of over politeness at times, and I wonder if that's what that was about. We better put up a sign, it's not working, Yeah.
I can imagine a sign saying, the speed camera, do you mind being fined? And someone will put, no.
I don't want to. Yeah, right. We can put up our own signs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could put a sign on my car, I'm invisible,
Or a little ET waving back, on the back seat or something.
Yeah. Could have fun with that. Yep. So we were talking about, I don't even know how we got into we went into the time and motion and the time cards, and we were talking about your journey, and it started very, very early. And so talk a little bit more about how your journey progressed.
Well, I have to say, I found my childhood completely amazing. It was like a fairy tale kind of thing. I'd find people materializing in my bedroom. I'd have one time I had a very small white hand, a tiny white hand, about 6 inches off the floor. It was disembodied, and it pushed my door open. I learnt to astral project at that time, and could do that at will. So coming out of my body was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I just associated it to flying. And a very simple technique for me at the time. I'd imagine I was running and just dive, Superman-like, and I'd pop out. And I think once you've been out of your body, you really get that you don't need to be in it. You know? So that's a huge form of freedom itself. And so I had many, many experiences. I was levitated many times. And my dad used to work night shift, and I'd be levitated in the front room up to the ceiling, and float around the house, and saw lots of different spirits, and had so many beautiful experiences. So to me, my childhood was magical. And it started to draw to an end when I was about sort of 10, because it's possibly the same in Scotland. At 11, you go to secondary school and that kind of thing. And obviously there's puberty and things that you start to deal with. So about the age of 10, it did stop. And after school, it sort of continued again. And so I was always getting predictions, and sometimes it would be air traffic accidents, that kind of thing, or just small things, and I think, like a lot of people, when prediction starts, you're listening to a conversation and you know exactly what they're going to say, because you've had a run through, maybe a couple of weeks before, the night before. So there's many things that I really enjoyed, and Spirit at that time were really showing me lots of things. So from my dad's bedroom, there was a gentleman that came, and he used to overshadow quite strongly. So kind of take over my body, and I was all about learning. So I allowed this to happen. And after quite a few months, because my guides were always protecting me, but they would just wanted to see how I would react to what I would pick up. And after quite a few months, I started to think there's something not quite right with this. So I sort of puzzled it out, and I thought, next time he comes in, I need to verify. And we had a cat, poor thing. So this duly happened, and I took, I opened the bedroom door, and the cat looked at me, screeched, and run straight up the wall and across the ceiling.
Wow.
And so I shut the door, and I thought, okay, this isn't good. You know, and then they taught me how to get rid of it, how to cleanse, and how to protect myself. So I was never in any danger. But I suppose it was like a college, really, for me. You know, they took away my fear of death. When I was 8, I had a normal day. Went to my bedroom to sleep. Began to feel really, really ill. So ill that I couldn't cry out. And I laid there for hours, literally. And I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, you know, I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm just going to die. I'm just going to go to sleep. Obviously woke up in the morning. And, you know, you might think from some aspects, well, that's a pretty cruel thing to do to a child. But when you're very connected and you just think, okay, it's time to go home, it's a very natural thing. And I actually found that very, very helpful.
Yeah. You know, like I've always had the sense that, like for a very young age, that I always went somewhere when I was asleep. You know, that my body rested and I took off. And I remember flying. Like anytime I would focus on it, I would waken up. I would start spinning in the air. You know, like it was like I get too excited. Oh, I'm flying. Yep. And I'd wake up.
I mean, it's a wonderful thing. And of course, you know, there's a classic symptom of that, isn't there? Because sometimes you're really pulled back into your body and you snap back and you're fast asleep. I mean, it happened to me in a chair, and you suddenly jump as you bounce back into your body. It's quite a thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's a hard land.
Hard landing.
Yeah, it is a hard landing. Yeah, a lot of the times it's the back of my neck. I'll feel it in. You know. I've had a hard landing. But it's fascinating.
Oh, bless you. And you know, towards the end of that time, and when I'd got a job, and this would have been, I think, about 1980. And it shows you how spirit work in different ways. I was dreaming, and it was very, very clear. And a gentleman called John Brown came to me in my dream, and he said, you need to go and sit with Jerry March, and she runs a circle at the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain in Belgrave Square. And it was so vivid, I remembered it. And the prelude to that was I saying to Spirit, if you want me to work for you, you've got to give me absolute definite proof. Nothing wavy, nothing I can make all kinds of generalizations. Anyway, I had this dream. Never heard of Robert Brown. Never heard of SAGB. Never heard of Jerry March. So I did some investigations, and I found out the SAGB was real. Went down there, had a chat with them. They knew of Robert Brown, so another confirmation. They knew of Jerry March.
Thank you for listening to Navigating the Truth with my wonderful guest, Leo Bonomo. And if you'd like to hear the interview in its entirety, please go to kcrradio.com. Thank you.